Hey everybody, what's going on? It's Monday night. Hopefully everybody had a good weekend. We're doing a movie review, as we usually do.
Yeah, let me reposition this. This was an interesting little flick.
We just picked this completely at random. Because here, okay, what happened was we were actually going to go to the theater yesterday and see Heart Eyes, and we were going to go with our friends Roxanne and Dr. Michael because we saw them Saturday night at the club, and they said, yeah, we were probably going to go see that at Altamont, which is where we usually go. Only problem is, by the time I got the message, we didn't get up till like noon, okay? Yeah. We were out late, we were drinking a lot. And by the time I got the message, we wouldn't have been able to get to the theater in time to see it, like when they were there. So I was like, well, you guys just see it and tell me if it's good. Now, Roxanne said it was pretty good. So I don't know, maybe we'll go see it like next weekend or something like that. But so I was kind of looking like, well, maybe we should watch a Valentine's Day thing, but it's like I couldn't really find one that I was like all that interested in. And I'm like, well, Valentine's Day isn't really till Friday anyway. So then I was just scrolling through Amazon Prime, and I saw this little motherfucker here. Yeah. It's from the 80s. Yeah. The trailer looked kind of interesting because it looked kind of culty, monstery movie. Yeah. And it had James Earl Jones in it. Yeah, James Earl Jones. This is a James Earl Jones movie. Yeah. And there's very few James Earl Jones movies where he's fucking... he's the lead, basically. And he's great in it. He's great. He plays a very interesting character. You're not sure if he's a good guy or a bad guy. He's a morally gray guy. Kind of both, but he ends up being the hero. And then this movie would have been remembered, I think, if the monster was better. The monster looked like shit. I'm gonna say that it's like there's something like kind of intriguing about the tone of this movie. Yeah, the tone's good. It's kind of slow in places. Even it's not very long. It's only like 87 minutes or something. I will say that if James Earl Jones wasn't in it, I think it would probably have just been completely forgotten. Yeah. I do wish the monster had been better. And I don't usually say this because I'm usually a big advocate of like not showing your monster all that much. I kind of feel like at the same time, I wish there had been more monster in it. But then I also wish there had been less monster in it, or there should have been more monster in it if the monster looked better. Yeah. Does that make sense? Okay, yeah. The movie kind of reminded me of... The tone was The Island. It reminded me of that. And fucking Dagon. If they had a fucking baby. If those two movies had had a baby, it'd be kind of like this. It's not as good as either of those. No, not as good as either of them. But it's in that same ballpark. It's in that same thing. And it's James Earl Jones, and he's playing against the guy who played the leader of Cobra Kai. From fucking Karate Kid. Martin Kove. Yeah, he's in it. He's good in it. He's like playing he usually plays a dickhead, but I mean he's playing like actually like a good guy. He plays a good guy. And then the other movie's got hotties in it. It's got 3 hotties. And they get nude. They even get a child that gets nude. But then I think that was editing. I'm pretty sure that was a body double. Because I was like, I hope that was a body double. Because that's a little uncomfortable. Like a 12 or 13-year-old girl falls off a fucking cliff. They sacrifice her. And when she hits the water, they show you an underwater shot. Fucking her dress goes up, see boobs and everything. Boobies. But it was so fast, and that looked like a grown woman. That didn't look like. Yeah, that didn't look like it. And they would have never done it today, but they did it near this one. It was a little weird. Yeah, fucking. But like I said, the star of this fucking movie is James Earl Jones. All right, he's playing a sea captain, and he's a privateer. He's kind of like a Han Solo type character, but imagine if Han Solo was fucking Afro-Irish Mississippian, fucking quoting Shakespeare. Okay, it's pretty cool. He pulls out a lot of Othello quotes in this one. And he's got this fucking hot blonde chick who's working for him on his boat, but he kind of tricked her into it. He doesn't want her to go. They're fucking sleeping together though. She just wanted to ride somewhere. And then she was like, "Oh well, whatever." She's a hottie. All right, you get to see her and everything. She was in. I couldn't. Yeah, she's real familiar. Her, like the whole time, I was like, "God damn it, where have I seen her before?" Yeah, she's been in a bunch of shit. Yeah, I just couldn't place her. Eventually, the monster eats her, and he kind of and James Earl's fucking character. His name was fucking what was his name? Fry. Fry. That's right, Fry. So Fry kind of gets hell bent on fucking getting revenge. And he finds out there's a monster. He accidentally releases it. There's some good scenes in this. He
he has a secret cove, an underground cave that you can get to. And when you come up, it's got air in it and everything. And he had a little base set up with charged batteries, lights, and he found an ancient Greek doorway that had been bricked shut. And he got his hands on some plastic explosives, so he had some military training. He might have been a Navy SEAL at one time because he's doing a lot of scuba. And he rigs up, puts a breaching charge on the fucking door and blows it open. But he was too scared to go inside. He knew there was something wrong. There was fucking steam and shit.
Some like weird like mist
move.
started coming out, and he's like, "Not today, Satan."
Yeah, so he did him out. He got the fuck out of there. He also had a stash of Greek coins. They were Greek coins, weren't they?
Well, yeah, and we'll kind of get into like where those came, because I'm not too worried about spoiling the movie because, like I said, it's old. Even though I think a lot of people haven't seen it. The weird thing about this movie, it has like a couple different titles. Usually it's called Blood Tide, 2 words, but I've also seen it called Blood Tide, all 1 word. And I think it's also called Demon Island, like when they showed it on TV. And for a long time, this kind of went under the... It's a British film, actually, even though, and they shot it in Greece, which will be obvious when you see it.
Yeah.
But I feel like for a long time there was a misconception that it was in the public domain. So it ended up on a lot of, I think under the title Demon Island, I think it ended up on like a lot of those, you know, those DVDs you used to buy that said, 10 horror movies for $1 or whatever the fuck it was.
Yeah.
Like it ended up on a lot of those, but it actually never was in the public domain. Everyone just thought it was. But
I wonder why. Because nobody cared about it.
I guess not.
Maybe the company that owned it went out of business and nobody was really...
Maybe. I mean, this did get a nice Arrow release in 2020 with like all the bells and whistles on it, which I think is why Amazon Prime was like featuring it and kept like recommending it to me. That's probably the edition that we're getting because it looked pretty good. It did, yeah. So it looks like it's been restored, like from, because it looked really nice, like the cinematography, and like I said, the location where they shot this, it's set on a remote Greek island. I don't remember what the name of the island was, but I don't know if it's a real Greek island or not. I never heard of it before, but that doesn't mean anything necessarily. So it might just be like a fictional Greek island that they shot on an actual Greek island. But the story behind it is that Martin Kove, the head of Cobra Kai, I like to think that he's also the head of Cobra Kai in the universe of this movie because that makes it funny.
He becomes
like later on. Yeah. He's got like the real foofy. I mean, this is 81, 82. Yeah. So he's got like the real poofy blow comb, like curly hair, like perm and everything. It's like pretty hilarious. And he's if you're into the dude from Cobra Kai, like he's in little bitty swim shorts a lot. So if that's your
his physique is pretty good for the time.
Yeah, it's but
and the girls all look.
I was looking at the chicks, but
the chicks all look great, and they're all in like slutty late 70s, early 80s fucking beach outfits,
like little crop tops and stuff, like right at the bottom of their tits and stuff like that. And I was like, all right, I'm not mad at it.
Yeah, and they were showing nipple and all that. Fucking, they weren't real gratuitous, but they knew how to put fucking get the male audience interested.
It seemed like it was mostly suggestive. Like they did show some tits, but it wasn't like super over the top. Yeah. And a lot of it was just kind of like you could see them through the white shirts.
They're fucking swimming through white outfits and shit.
Right, shit like that. Yeah. So it was more of that kind of thing, like so more suggestive. So it wasn't too over the top, but it's not super gory either. There are like a couple of scenes like when that one girl gets like kind of eaten or like torn to pieces by the monster or whatever. So
they show a severed foot. It looked real.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah. So
you could buy that.
Well, yeah, you can get those nowadays.
Yeah, you could buy a severed foot from fucking cadaver places, but that looked like a severed foot of a fucking young woman. It'd be hard to. Because usually it's going to be some old bum. So
this is going to sound like a weird question, but do you guys sell feet, like actual human feet? Yeah. Because I kind of need one.
Yeah, medical. You can get it from the medical
for
supply.
reasons.
Yeah.
Which I will not divulge. But yeah, so the head of Cobra Kai and his new wife, what the fuck was her name?
I forgot.
She had blonde. I've seen her before too. Like every woman that was in this, I was like, man, that's what's her face. Yeah. That's what's her face. I think the brunette that was in it, I'm pretty sure she was in Body Double, and she might have also been in Animal House, or maybe the blonde was in Animal House.
Yeah, the blonde was in Animal House. I think if I could.
Yeah.
Try to check up on them, see who they all.
Because they were all familiar. Like everybody in this was familiar. José Ferrer is in this too, by the way. He's like the lead Greek guy, like on the island. So this is like a star-studded cast. You know what I mean?
For the time.
And I just kind of feel like this is one of those movies that's sort of like forgotten.
Well, so the monster.
I think that's really what lets it down. Because, like I said, it's got a really cool premise. And it's got, like, a cool, like, not a lot happens in it. Like I said, it's kind of slow at times. But it's got, like, a really cool, like, atmosphere to it. I just kind of feel like if the monster had looked better and if they had had slightly more people get eaten by the monster, then I think this probably would have been remembered a lot better.
The monster is an ancient Greek sea dragon, basically.
Yeah.
Like a kraken.
So, yeah. Not as big as that, but...
Yeah, it's not that big.
Along those lines.
It's the size of Jaws, maybe. But it looked dumb to me. It looked like a fucking big seahorse. That's what it looked like to me.
Yeah,
like
it did. Yeah, it did kind of, and not just like a seahorse. It looked like a horse.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like that was in the ocean. You know what I mean?
It's obviously fake, with teeth on it.
Yeah.
Like a kaiju, like a Japanese level kaiju, like something out of fucking Godzilla. And like, no, fuck that, Gamera, cheaper than Godzilla, like Gamera.
I don't think it's quite as Gamera level.
Not as bad? All right.
But it might be a notch or two above Gamera, I think.
Okay, yeah.
Keep in mind that, like, one of the Gamera movies definitely had a monster that its head was a knife.
Definitely. And it was a knife with legs.
It was a knife with legs. Well, no, he had eyes and shit, and it also shot, like, Chinese throwing stars, like, out the little notches on the side of his head. Like, put you...
Yeah.
And his little jaw was triangular, and it just went blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I love that monster, though.
Like
and he, like, chopped people in half.
Yeah.
It's like the Ginsu monster.
That little metal nibbler tool. Yeah.
That's my favorite, like, Gamera foe.
Horrible.
And I can't remember what... wasn't Giron, was it?
Baragon, right?
Baragon? No, Baragon was four-legged. I'm pretty sure.
Okay. Yeah, I forgot.
The one with the knife head, I think, was two... Well, no, I guess he walked on four legs, too, sometimes. But he was mostly walked around upright, I think. But yeah, so anyway... That's neither here nor there.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
So Martin Kove and his wife, they're ostensibly on their honeymoon, but Martin Kove's sister has gone missing and has come to this island, and they're kind of worried about her because they think she's... I'm not entirely sure. Like, I guess they just thought she was missing or she went crazy or something. Like, they're like, okay, well, she went to this remote Greek island for some reason, and she, we haven't heard from her in a long time. We're starting to worry about her. So for their honeymoon, they go to this island to try to find the sister. And when they get there, there's actually kind of like a cold open at the beginning, which they don't tell you what era it's taking place in, but later on, as time goes on, it's supposed to be like pre-Christian, like it was like thousands of years ago. And they show like this young girl, they kind of do this whole ritual, and they put her on this raft, and then she goes into this cave, like on the raft, and then there's this kind of like it's like a temple in there, sort of. There's like stalactites and shit, but there's like, it's like a temple, and you're led to assume that the monster comes out and eats her like she's a sacrifice. So they put like the little Greek symbol on her head with blood or whatever, and she takes her shirt off, and the monster eats her off screen. And that happened like thousands of years ago. So in the modern day, these two come to the island looking for the sister. And the locals are not hostile necessarily, but they're not super helpful, and they're a little bit grumpy. And so the main guy, who's José Ferrer, who's like the mayor of the island, and he's just like, nope, never seen your sister before. Like, he shows him the picture, and he's like, nope, I don't know who that is. But then there's this other dude who, I don't know what his deal is. His name is Dionysus or Dionysi or something like that. And he doesn't speak any English, and he's like this crazy old coot. And he's just like giggling and mumbling to himself all the time. And he sees the picture, and he flips out. So then Martin Kove is like, I don't remember what his character name was, so I'm just gonna call him Cobra Kai. How about that?
Yeah.
So
Cobra.
I'm gonna call him Cobra Kai.
Yeah.
But it's funny seeing him play
another character,
somebody that's not a dick, because I think every other thing I've seen him in, he's always played like an asshole. Yeah. And he's just like a regular guy.
You got typecast as that.
Yeah. Well, he's good at it. I mean, that's just kind of his niche. But he plays like just a normal nice guy in this. So they're like, okay, well, obviously the sister's on this island, and all of these locals are being weird and like not telling us for some reason. And then like literally 2 minutes later, he sees what he thinks is his sister like walking around like up in the fucking hills or whatever. It is a really cool looking island. Like, it's this ancient Greek ruins, but, like, people live in them and shit. Like, it's just all rocks and stuff. And so he sees her, and then he, like, follows her. And then it turns out that when he does find her, she knows this dude who's James Earl Jones, whose name is, I do remember his character name was Fry.
Fry, yeah.
And he's like you said, he's kind of, I don't even know if he, like, explains why. I think he says later that the sister actually brought him there. He says he's an amateur archaeologist. That's what he says.
That's not what he is, though.
No, not really.
He's a pirate.
Yeah, he's kind of, yeah.
That's what I think he is.
So he's there, and he's, like, really weird. Like I said, he's just kind of, like, quoting Othello all the time, and they just think it's funny. And then he's got, like, this girlfriend who's just this bimbo-y kind of... She's delightful, though.
Yeah, she's cool.
She's actually really cool. I like that character.
Yeah, she likes him. She's into him, but he kind of... I don't want to say he abducted her. He offered her a ride to Capri.
Yeah.
But they never actually took her to Capri.
Then they came to this, like...
Yeah, he went to other places instead.
And then she was like, what?
Yeah, and fucking... He's got her fucking...
Cool.
He's got her working on a fucking boat. You know, fucking swabbing decks and fucking cleaning shit and fucking...
Yeah, she's like cleaning fish and all this other kind of stuff.
Fish, and she kind of complains about it, but fucking...
Bringing him bread and melons.
Yeah, and you're like, what the fuck is going on? But he's a funny character. I like the character.
He's like the best thing about this movie.
Yeah, she brings him a melon and fucking...
And a knife.
And he goes, you don't cut fucking melons. And he pow! And he floods it open with his fist.
He just punches the melon. Yeah. Then just starts eating it.
Yeah, and
he punches melons open like a man.
Yeah, punches up like a man. So this was probably maybe a year or two, maybe.
That made me laugh so hard.
Before he was in Conan. And
no, I think this was the same year, actually.
Same year?
I think it was the same year.
He's in good shape. The best shape I've seen in him. Well, he was in good shape in when he played the Air Force guy in fucking Strangelove, Dr. Strangelove.
Yeah.
He was in that too. He was young, you know. He was in pretty good shape. He looks pretty muscular. I wouldn't say working out type, but, you know, just in good shape. And fucking what's a trip about it is that in Conan, I thought he had blue contact lenses on.
No, that's his actual.
That's his real color.
That's his
real eye color. He's got blue eyes, and he's just an interesting character in this movie. I would watch it again just to fucking look at his character because he does some fucking strange shit.
Yeah, you're not entirely sure what his deal is.
Yeah. But
and like what his motives are.
I kind of have a feeling that Jones helped write that character though and flesh it out.
Maybe so. I'm not sure.
Because it has a lot of fucking kind of cool things that I don't think a writer would have thought about. But Jones was a real thespian. You know, he liked acting, doing a lot of live shows and shit. So I think he liked this character and worked on it. And I think a lot of that stuff he came up with his own. Like quoting Othello and shit. That's like something he would do.
Yeah, because they're like the women were like making fun of him. It's like, yeah, he was on Othello once in college, and it's like he's never gotten over it. Like he just keeps fucking using lines from that all the time, like whenever appropriate. Which I was like, okay, fair enough.
He has a scene where he plays he's drunk, and you're not sure if he's fucking with him or if he really is drunk. That's pretty.
That's a pretty funny.
Like,
that was the second funniest scene. Him punching the watermelon.
Yeah.
That was the best. I literally like laughed out loud. Because she brought him the melon and a loaf of bread.
Yeah.
And put it all in his lap and a knife to cut the melon, and he's just like, pap! Well, and he just like busted it open, then started eating it. And he's like laughing.
I thought he was an epic character, man. He was a very memorable character.
Like I said, he makes this movie. I think if he was not in this,
he would.
I don't really think it would be worth watching.
No, this is a James Earl Jones movie.
But he really does bring something to this movie.
Yeah.
Like, kind of gives it that little extra.
Yeah, without him, this movie would have fucking not really been... It would have been really forgettable.
Yeah, I kind of feel like... Because, like I said, it's a cool premise. I really like the idea behind it. And I really like the locations where they shot it. It's a little bit... Like I said, it's a little bit weird and it's a little bit disjointed. Because when they find the sister, who's hanging out with James Earl Jones and his little blonde girlfriend... She's real enigmatic too, and then it turns out that she's not a nun, but she's hanging out at the nunnery up there with all the other nuns, and they seem like, I don't know how nun shit works, so it's just like, so I'm not really sure if she's like a novitiate or if she's gonna be a nun someday or if she's studying to be a nun. Like I said, I don't know how that works, but she's like up there, and she found this icon, like a piece of art. And it was kind of like, the first part was like very obviously like a medieval, like Christian kind of deal. And then, like, wasn't it St. George, like, slaying the dragon or whatever? And she finds out that, like, behind it, there's, like, 2 other layers of artwork that go back, like, thousands and thousands of years. And then, like, the one on the bottom is something else, because I guess that was the artwork that was from the time where the girl at the beginning got sacrificed to the monster, because it's this monster and he has this big dick. Yeah. And I was like, wow, look at the dick on that thing.
Yeah.
And, then, like, they had, like, the virgin sacrifice or whatever. So, I guess what happened over the years, you're led to assume. I don't think they even explain this, really. But you're led to assume that back in the day, they would put the coins in the girls' mouths and then send the girls into the cave, the virgins. Yeah. And then the monster would eat them, and then presumably the monster would not eat other people on the island. You know, that's why they were doing it. Or would give them other things in return. I'm not sure.
I thought that they would have. I thought the monster was having sex with them too.
I thought that was also implied, especially after the reveal of the big dick monster.
Yeah, the big dick monster.
And kind of like, we'll talk about the end scene in a little bit too, because I thought that was going to go a different way.
Which is kind of when that kind of ties in. That kind of ties in with the Minotaur. Because I think if I remember correctly, it's implied in the original Greek script that the Minotaur also kind of raped and ate the children. Isn't that right?
I mean, I thought so too, but
yeah, you know, it wanted only like the best boys and the best girls, and for its delight, and you know the way it was worded, you know, it didn't come out and said that it was, you know, from what I remember, it didn't come out and say that he was doing that, but it was implied.
Winking at you.
There's
nothing implication about that big ass dick on that piece of art.
Yeah, right, yeah.
And then like the virgin going, woo, look at the big dick. It was that kind of situation.
Yeah.
Like on the old one. So you're led to assume that thousands of years ago, they were sacrificing the virgins. And then somehow over the years, the monster got bricked up, like sealed up in this cave, like in the temple. Like somebody had bricked it over. And so now they do the ritual, but it's just fake. You know what I mean? Because like later on, they have like that little girl.
Yeah.
And she comes out with the thing. And then they just have somebody dressed up like the monster come and like pretend to eat her. So over the years, it's become less. But they know that monster is down there, it seems like. But they're like, yeah, we closed that shit up. But the problem is that James Earl Jones, Fry, he's looking for treasure down there. And he's found this cave. Or I think they later say that the sister found it originally. Because you're led to assume that there's a whole thing about it has to be like a willing virgin and all this other. She looks too old to be a virgin, but I guess she is.
Yeah.
Because of the nun thing. But so he doesn't know anything about that. But he's just in there and he finds some coins and he thinks there's probably something even cooler like behind that bricked up doorway. So he's like, I'm going to blow that shit up. Yeah. So he has this big thing of plastic explosives and he blows it up. And the hilarious thing, he's a drunk too, which is pretty funny. So he's just always like slamming back JD while he's blowing shit up, which is never a good combo. So he blows the door out. And then all of a sudden, like, all this weird mist, like, starts coming out. And it's like he kind of sees maybe there's something back in there. And he's going to go in there, he thought. But then he's like, not today. Then he leaves. So he's like, I'm going to come back on another day when it's not as spooky, I guess. But then the monster gets out. And it eats his blonde girlfriend.
Yeah.
Well, the thing about it, another girl from the island, like one of the locals, she goes missing first. But when they find her later, she doesn't look chewed up or nothing. So I think maybe she just drowned. Or maybe the monster drowned her. I don't really know. But the blonde girl definitely gets chewed up.
They show her getting
because they find because she gets, it's very Jaws-like.
Yeah.
Like it's that same like POV shot of her legs, like, you know, up in the water, like just like in Jaws. And then later on, like, all the village children, like, find pieces of her, like, her foot and her head and stuff like that. Like, in the fucking rocks or whatever. So she gets eaten. And then there's kind of like a thing with that younger girl where they pretend they're sacrificing her. So, like, hey, let's go to the very edge of this precarious cliff and do, like, Ring Around a Rosie. And then she falls off.
Yeah, they push her or she fell?
You couldn't really tell the way it was edited. I mean, I thought that they were going to push her.
But I think she might have fallen
But she might have just fallen.
Yeah, and she survives the fall. She doesn't crash onto the rocks. And then Fry jumps out there to go save her.
Yeah.
He does save her.
But her mom gets
But her mom gets eaten.
Because her mom jumps her mom jumps in to save her too, but the monster
Yeah, that's what I was saying, that she looked like she was probably about 12.
Yeah, I think she's about 12.
When she hit the water, man, her
shirt goes up.
Shirt goes up, and you get a boobs and shit, but I don't think it's the same girl. I think it's a body double.
I mean, like I said, that doesn't look like 12-year-old girl.
Yeah,
boobs,
no.
but...
She looked like a fucking 20-year-old.
But I was like, that was still
what?
like pretty weird.
It's like, yeah.
Maybe that girl was older than she looked. I'm not really sure.
Maybe.
But we were still kind of like, what?
Like, that was odd. Yeah.
I was like, that was a little strange. They should like that.
I know it's 1980 and all.
Right, but still.
They had standards back then, though, too.
Yeah, even then, people would have been like,
yeah. Although there were some movies where they did show nudity of underage people. Remember fucking Blue Lagoon?
I was just thinking of that.
Yeah.
Although that was earlier, though, wasn't it? That was early. Wasn't that early 70s?
I think it might have been in 1980 also. And then around that time, around 80, 81 maybe. And then there was a couple of other ones like Lolita-type flicks.
Yeah.
That were foreign that were running around that had basically an underage girl nude through half of it. And that was just like 70s shit.
There was definitely...
Like mainstream type shit.
I definitely reviewed a Giallo movie not too long ago from the early 70s that had, it wasn't like a lot, but it was basically like, like a little girl like running in naked, like an old man had been painting a portrait of her.
Yeah.
But he was implied to be a pedo.
Right.
So, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they were kind of portraying it as creepy, but it was still weird that it was.
They still showed it.
Yeah, but they still showed it. So I thought that was a little bit.
That's the way the Italians work.
I was like, oh, Italy, you're so crazy. Especially in the 70s.
Yeah, fucking funny.
Yeah, naked kids, and we're gonna kill real animals. It'll be fun.
Killing real animals and show naked kids.
Fucking Italy, yeah. But they would show some fucked up shit.
Well, you know, they could show naked kids as long as it wasn't a sexual situation. I mean, a little naked boy coming up out of the fucking spaceship from fucking Superman.
Yeah, that's true.
Superman 1, you know what I mean? Fucking that. Nobody thought anything of that.
Yeah, I didn't think that was weird.
It wasn't a sexual situation. You know what I mean? But
true.
fucking some of this shit is that they were showing. Blue Lagoon was.
Yeah, I mean, very overtly.
Yeah.
Was very sexualized. I haven't seen that movie in a long time, but I remember being weirded out by it even the first time I saw it.
Yeah, I think she was probably 13, wasn't she? 13, 14?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a little problematic. But yeah. So there was that. And then it's implied, I think, that because I think at this point when James Earl Jones like jumps in the water to save that little girl from the monster, he sees the monster. And that's kind of the first time, because prior to that, you just kind of see, like I said, it's just kind of like Jaws, where you just see like a POV shot, or maybe like a, like a side of a fishy kind of looking thing or something like that. And I kind of wish they'd kept it, because when he sees it, it's only for a second, but it's pretty goofy looking.
Yeah, it looks like a horse dragon.
It's pretty goofy looking.
Mouth, and it's fucking chopping on that fucking woman, but it doesn't really look that good.
And it doesn't have sharp
fake.
It doesn't have sharp teeth or anything. Although would sharp teeth have looked even goofier? Perhaps.
That was just the wrong monster.
Yeah.
They shouldn't have made that monster. It'd made more sense if it was something like an octopus or a squid it could have been a fucking sharktopus.
Yeah, it's like, well,
something,
Well, shit, man, they did that in Italy. They did devilfish.
Yeah, something like that.
That was kind of a sharktopus. It was actually a prehistoric giant shark mixed with an octopus, but it was a modern genetic mutant. Like they made it. Yeah. Like a company made it.
It was a genetic freak.
Yeah, but it was genetically engineered.
Yeah, it's hard to do any kind of creature effects, especially in the 80s, underwater. So you're already fucking asking for trouble just embarking on this shit. I mean, it would have been better if it had been a creature from the Black Lagoon type thing, was a person in a suit swimming.
Because the creature from the Black Lagoon still looks good.
Still looks pretty good, yeah.
That fucking outfit still looks really good, I think. It's like, and even the gills go in and out and everything like that. Like, obviously somebody took great care to make that outfit, and I think that still looks really good.
Yeah.
But I'm just going to say that if you're going to show the monster, make it look better. If you can't make it look better, just don't show it.
Yeah.
So I kind of feel like that scene, because we were like, oh man, that's how it wasn't as bad. Okay, it wasn't as bad as the monster from what was that, Clive Barker? Rawhead Rex.
Rawhead Rex. Wasn't that bad, but it was
wasn't
close.
that bad, but it was along those lines.
It was close.
It didn't have big googly eyes, I don't think. Did it have big googly eyes?
Uh-uh.
Maybe that, because I thought for a second maybe that's why it gave me the Rawhead Rex impression, because I was like, maybe
it had eyes.
Maybe it did have big googly eyes.
But it just kind of were.
It just reminded me of that, but it wasn't as silly as the Rawhead Rex monster.
Yeah.
But it was along that spectrum.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but underwater. So I kind of feel like maybe they didn't show it much to their credit, so they probably knew it didn't look that great. But I wish they'd showed it less. Or like you said, made the monster look just different. Like you said, just like a big octopus.
Yeah, I would have made it Lovecraftian, where you never really saw the monster. You just saw tentacles coming after people.
Yeah, see, that
tentacles
probably
coming out
would have been a lot better.
And just worried about tentacles.
Yeah, because tentacles, that's pretty easy to do. And everybody's scared of that kind of shit. So you know what I mean. But yeah, so he sees it. So he's like, oh shit, I guess probably when I blew up that shit, when I was drunk off my face, I probably let that monster out. My bad. So, and then he's like, yeah, now it's like eating 2 people, including my girlfriend. So, no, actually it killed 3 people. Because that other local girl got drowned. I'm presuming the monster killed her as well. So, okay, so now he's responsible for the deaths of 3 people. And he's a little cranky about it, and he just, like, gets totally in his cups. And then there's, like, a whole, they do, like, the ritual, like I said, but Cobra Kai and his wife are, like, freaking out because they think they're really going to sacrifice that girl to the monster, and they're like, no, we just do it fake nowadays. But, by the way, the monster is loose, so probably y'all should do something about that. And then, meanwhile, the sister, the brunette chick, the spooky one, Madeline, that was her name, that was her character's name, Madeline. And she's the one, you're led to assume that she was drawn to, that they don't explain this, I don't think, but this is what I got from it. You're led to assume that she was drawn to this island. She was an artist or something. And she was drawn to this island because of the monster. And because the way... Would you defeat the monster if you gave yourself to it, if you were a virgin and gave yourself to it willingly? I thought that was what the story was. So you were led to assume that she was going to be the willing virgin, but it was like taking over her mind. So it was like making her do it, I guess. Mm-hmm. Because she was acting like really out of it, like the whole time. And her brother was like, we got to get you off this fucking island. Like, what is your problem? And she's like, no, man, I'm staying on the island.
She's
all like,
spell the monster.
Yeah, so I'm assuming that the monster was like controlling her mind somehow.
Yeah.
Because at one point, she takes the boat and goes out to the cave, and she like lays herself on the rock, like she's giving herself to the monster. And this is after she's already seen the monster dick picture.
Yeah. So
she knows what's going to happen.
Yeah. Now they're saying it sounds like Humanoids from the Deep. No, the monsters from Humanoids from the Deep look a lot better.
They did actually look a lot better.
No, the monster.
I love Humanoids from the Deep.
That's the monster basically looks like a huge seahorse. And it's not that big, but it's like a seahorse. But they show it they show a picture of it on a Greek vase.
Yeah.
And that's the way it really looked. It looked like a fucking seahorse.
Which it looked cool on the vase.
Yeah, but I wouldn't.
In real life, not so much.
That's not the direction they should have gone. They should have gone with the Kraken.
Yeah.
A fucking octopus. That'd have made a lot more sense.
I think that would have looked a lot cooler.
An octopus or a giant squid.
Yeah. So I just kind of feel like, because seahorses are not inherently scary. I get that they were trying to make it look like the monster from mythology.
Yeah. Wrong monster, though.
But
the proof is this movie's forgotten.
Yeah.
Had it been a good monster, people would have remembered this movie.
People would still be talking about it.
Yes, yeah, this movie would have been remembered. Because the rest of it's good.
Yeah,
there's enough there.
Other than that, like I said, there's something kind of... It didn't get great reviews at the time, and like I said, I kind of feel like it's mostly been forgotten about. But there's something kind of... It's got charm. Enthralling about it. Yeah. Like the tone of it.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's pretty slow, and not a lot happens in it. But
it's got interesting characters, though.
Yeah, there's just kind of something kind of intriguing about the whole situation, and something kind of creepy about it.
You got the dude from Cobra Kai. You got fucking James Earl Jones, who's just acting fucking crazy as shit. He's kind of like a pirate. And then 3 hotties running around half dressed. Yeah. What's not to love? And they're in a beach setting. On the sea, scuba diving and shit. There's a monster. Weird cult shit happening. The locals know about it. Kind of feels like Dagon. They're keeping a secret.
In that way.
The locals are keeping a secret about the monster type of deal.
Because I was led to assume that all of the coins that James Earl Jones' character was collecting were the coins that had been put in the mouths of the girls.
Sacrificial
like
coins.
The sacrificial coins.
Yeah.
Like, it was supposed to be, like Charon,
He was selling them, though, wasn't he?
Well, he was collecting them, and I guess he was just going to take them back somewhere and cash them in, I suppose. But then at the end, spoiler alert, after he gets killed, well, he sacrifices himself to kill the monster.
At the end of the movie.
Is what he does.
Yeah. He gets bit in the dick and says, "Fuck it, I'm dying." And
that was another thing that I kind of wish they hadn't done.
Yeah.
Because you couldn't. It wasn't like super overt, but I was like, did he just bite him like right in the crotch? That monster.
Yeah.
He just bit it like chomp, like right in the fucking crotch.
Yeah. And then he activated the bomb.
And then he's like, "Fuck this! I'm not living without a dick."
Yeah.
Blam.
I don't blame him.
You're going. Tom's like, I would have done the same.
Yeah, time to go. My job is finished here.
We're living without a dick. Yeah, I totally forgot that the monster like bit him in the dick.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like a pretty substantial bite, so maybe he thought, well, I'm probably gonna die anyway.
Well, it looked like it bit not just the dick, his whole lower pelvis.
Whole like pelvis,
and like it was supposed to like bite his legs off. I think that's
And then he was like, okay, well, fuck it, I'm out of here. Kablam.
He wasn't gonna survive.
I mean, I think he was probably planning on doing that anyway.
Yeah.
Because he had all the bombs and everything. But
so he kind of goes out as a hero. He goes out as a hero.
Yeah, because like I said, you aren't really entirely sure what his motives are. But after he sees the monster, he's like, yeah, we got to do something about that shit. Especially after it kills his girlfriend. Because even though he's kind of a shit to her, and he's always just like kind of bossing her around and, hey, bring me this and bring me that. Yeah. Like after she gets killed, like he does actually seem pretty upset about it.
Yeah, he says, I was quite fond of her.
Yeah.
He tries to choke it, but he tries to pretend like he wasn't into her, but they were into each other.
Yeah.
They were showing a little love scene and shit.
Yeah, so it was that kind of shit.
Yeah.
So I think like after that, he's like, he didn't really have anything to live for anymore.
Yeah.
So the interesting thing though that I thought was interesting was that after he gets killed, like and Cobra Kai and his wife, like they get on the boat and they leave the island finally, and they take all the coins that he collected and just dump them back over. And I said maybe they just thought, because Tom's like, why'd they do that? They could probably like get a lot of money.
Yeah.
And I said, well, I think it was because they thought, well, that's where they belonged.
Yeah.
Because that was like all the sacrificial victims.
I will place this movie right around the same level, maybe a little bit above Shockwaves. You ever seen the movie Shockwaves?
Yeah, we reviewed that a while back.
Yeah, about like Shockwaves, but better, I think. Yeah, in some ways. Shockwaves, I think, is a better horror movie.
Yeah.
But this is a better movie fun to watch, I think.
Yeah.
There's just...
I think more happens in this one than in Shockwaves.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, because it's been a while.
A lot of bullshit happens in Shockwaves.
Well, that you know what I mean.
A bunch of people get killed, but they don't really die. They don't really show how they die all the time. And
right.
It's
so,
kind of,
did it even happen?
He falls down in the water, and then he dies. That type of shit is happening in Shockwaves.
Yeah.
And for some reason, he was found dead. That kind of shit.
You're like, what? It would have been nice to.
Well, they were trying to keep the Nazi zombies kind of secret and keep them off camera at first, make them mysterious. Then they showed them because there's not much to it. Fucking Nazi zombies just walking around. It was what made that movie was fucking Peter Cushing.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'll watch anything that he did.
And that was filmed here in Florida.
It was.
It wasn't out on some magic island. It was fucking right on the coast.
of Magic Island.
It was fucking fucking Magic Island. What am I going to call fucking? What am I thinking of? Fucking desert island. It's not like a desert. That was near Tampa, I think. Wasn't it?
Yeah, I think we looked it up at the time. I don't remember.
Yeah, and that hotel's still there. It was a hotel.
Yeah.
At the time they filmed that movie, though, it was kind of like abandoned. It was, I think, in between ownership. But it's back up in business. It was built in the 20s. So it wasn't as old as it actually seemed to be in the 80s.
I'm going to say much better Nazi zombie movie, Dead Snow.
Hard to beat Nazis at the Center of the Earth.
Oh, that's a good one, too.
Yeah, that was an authentic movie with the fucking Vril saucers and fucking Nazi science fiction and shit. Yeah.
Mecha Hitler. With his fucking head in the fucking cloche or whatever.
Yeah.
That was fucking weird.
It's got Boosie in it.
Which Boosie is in it?
Son of Boosie.
Son of Boosie.
Yeah, what was his name? Fucking
Jake.
Jake, yeah.
I
like Jake.
The one that was in The Frighteners.
Yeah, yeah. Like a son of Boosie.
That's what we're calling that.
Jake was great, man. Jake's great. Fucking in fucking all his movies. Fucking Frighteners.
Yeah.
Starship Troopers. He was in a lot of great movies. He was a good character actor.
Yeah.
And he played a fucking bad guy in Nazis at the Center of the Earth.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had the whole the German hollow Earth theory and everything. And
yeah, somebody did their homework.
Oh yeah, they did their homework.
That was like one of our first shows that we did was like all that occult, like all that bullshit occult stuff. That like
yeah, and that was an Asylum flick if I remember correctly.
I think it was.
Yeah, which
they can make a good one if they want to.
If they get a good script, they can make they get a good script. They can make a good movie.
Because I'm gonna go on the record.
I own that bitch on Blu-ray.
Yeah.
That's how much I.
Because I'm gonna go as if we're talking about Asylum, I'm gonna go on record saying I don't like Sharknado that much.
No.
To me it's funny, but it could have been much funnier. Yeah. I feel like there was like a lot of missed opportunities for humor that they didn't really.
Yeah.
They didn't really stick the landing as much. Like I said, man, I was like that premise is so good.
Yeah.
It's like you really should have just leaned harder. They should have leaned harder into it.
Yeah.
I feel like they didn't lean hard enough into the whole Sharknado thing. Ian said Shockwaves is awesome.
Yeah.
Those scenes of the soldiers walking underwater without any artificial breathing apparatus are real creepy and surreal. Yeah, I think that's what most people remember from that movie.
They're goose stepping too, like National Socialists.
Because that's like the most iconic imagery from that movie. I feel like, but yeah, this movie is kind of along those. I will say I would probably call it more of a thriller, I guess, than horror. It does have horror elements, and it is a monster movie, but there's not a lot of the monster in it. There is a little bit of gore, like I said, there's like a, severed foot and shit like that, but, just a lot of Jaws type stuff, like people getting pulled under and like the water going all bloody and that kind of thing. But, like you said, it's funny that you said that it reminded you of The Island, because it did kind of remind me of that, too.
Yeah, another good movie.
Where it was just, like, it was a lot of character drama.
Yeah.
And a lot of, like, people being, like, weird, and you weren't sure why they were being weird, and, like you weren't entirely sure what was going on. But maybe there's a monster, like, lurking around in the background. I don't know, it was, like, a really interesting... For one that I'd never really heard of before. Like I said, I just kind of saw it... Amazon Prime kept recommending it to me, probably because we watch like B horror and B sci-fi like all the time. So it was like, hey, you probably like this one, and I was like, I never heard of that. And James Earl Jones is in it, and I was kind of in the mood for an '80s movie, and I was like, I never seen.
It's worth seeing if you like retro horror.
Yeah,
it's worth seeing.
Yeah, like I said, the monster's not great, but
that's
honestly,
what let it down.
I think James Earl Jones' performance is like worth the price of admission.
Yeah.
On its own. Like, he's great in this.
Absolutely.
He's great in this.
Yeah.
If he wasn't in it, I don't think it would be worth watching.
This is his movie.
Yeah.
He's carrying this whole fucking movie.
Definitely. Yeah. James Earl Jones was also in... What was that fucking movie that was on MST that had Dennis Stockwell and fucking Kim Cattrall? And it was like a post-apocalyptic... City Limits. City Limits. Yeah. It's terrible. That's why. It's kind of like one of those ones. It's kind of like The Warriors.
Yeah.
A little bit like with these silly gangs where everyone looks like they're from the cast of Fame or whatever. It's kind of got that kind of vibe to it. Although I kind of like it a little bit better than The Warriors, even though parts of it I like better than The Warriors.
Man, I remember fucking when I was a kid, my parents wouldn't let me see The Warriors because that's about gangs. You can't see that. Oh, okay. I was like in third and fourth grade. And we fucking rented that shit when I was in fucking 9th grade. I was down in Brazil. And fucking I was thinking this movie is gonna be hard as fuck. Man, I was laughing through that fucking thing. I was like, I was waiting for something scary or something bad to happen, and it never happened really. And I'm like,
this is like West Side Story.
Yeah. Actually,
it's not even as badass as West Side Story.
Yeah, all these dudes running around in the same clothes, look like fucking gay bandits. Fucking, this is what it looked like. Gay gangs of gays.
Now,
they threaten each other and don't actually. There's some fighting, but it doesn't seem. It's not any fighting that wouldn't fly today.
No. People are like, come on, you guys.
Yeah, they're all wearing the same clothes and shit.
Not a dance off. Now, I will say that as far as the gang movie with gangs that wear the same clothes and are actually scary, see A Clockwork Orange.
Clockwork Orange, yeah.
But
they were weird.
That is actually scary.
Those dudes, they didn't wear. They weren't. It wasn't quite the same clothes. They
the
were the same colors.
Droogs had the same outfit. They all had the same
black hats, black boots,
and the white
thing clothes with the fucking jock strap on the outside. On the outside, yeah.
So they all had the same outfit.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's not quite. It's not the same white shirt, and it's not the same pants, and it's just the same colors, and they're wearing this jock strap. And some of them had gloves, and some of them didn't, and then they had stuff pinned to it. They were individualized. Remember, they had different colored hats. They just had different kinds of hats. Y'all had
one of them had a top hat, and then one
had
of
a
them
beret.
had like one had like that round Hamburg. Is that what that's called? One had like
a top hat, a derby, a fucking other guy had a black beret. They had to have a black hat, but it could be whatever a hat of choice, their choice, you know. So they did kind of. It was kind of like a uniform. It was a uniform, but it wasn't quite the same clothes. But the thing is those dudes were fucking crazy, and they were in a dystopian future that never happened.
Yeah, an alternate future.
An alternate 2001.
I always laugh though because that was like such a big thing in the 80s.
Yeah.
To have movies about gangs and like all the gangs like had matching outfits and and like were not tough at all.
Yeah.
But they were like supposed to be really scary. It was just kind of like the way a lot of 80s movies portrayed punks. And I'm like, tell me you've never met any punks without telling me you've never met any punks.
Clockwork Orange, they're raping people though.
Well, that's what I was saying. But that's what like in Clockwork Orange they were actually scary, even though they all had the same outfit, pretty much. Yeah. But in the 80s they were just kind of like I said, it was like the Warriors. It's like they all had the same outfits on. I'm like, hey, they all like have little meetings at the clubhouse. It's like, hey, we're all gonna have roller skates and clown pants and whatever the fuck, you know what I mean? Robin Hood hats, whatever the fuck.
And they actually did stab each other.
Yeah.
Remember during that fight against Billy Boy's gangs, one guy got stabbed.
Yeah.
He got stabbed in the arm, I think, didn't he? Or
something
like that. Somebody got stabbed.
And they kill people.
They kill people, yeah.
Too. And they beat the shit out of each other.
Yeah.
Also.
Yeah.
So there's that.
So they really were psychos.
Yeah. Yeah. Not like I said, not like the Warriors.
Yeah, not like the Warriors.
or the gangs in City Limits.
Yeah.
Who all looked like. Here's the thing about the gangs in City Limits was that they all looked like they were rejects from Gene Loves Jezebel.
Yeah.
Like they had like just layers and layers of like raggedy clothes. Yeah. And they rode motorcycles. I'm like, are you not concerned about like all that fabric getting caught
up in your wheels?
In the wheels and stuff like that? I'm like, people have died like that. So, I don't really know. All right. So, I guess we're going to wrap it up for this evening. So, hopefully you guys enjoyed this discussion about this sort of obscure little movie that we just kind of ran across. But yeah, so remember to drop by on Wednesday night. We're going back to True Crime. Ooh, we got a good one. I've been wanting to do this one for a long time. I'm glad it finally won in the poll. We're going to be talking about good old Earl Nelson, a.k.a. the Gorilla Man, a.k.a. the Dark Strangler. Probably the first serial sex killer in American history.
What year was this?
1920s.
Okay.
So, England had Jack the Ripper, which was kind of a, sexual sadist type of thing. But this guy is considered the first American one, and he killed a lot more people than Jack the Ripper did.
Sounds good. I don't know this one.
They actually don't know how many people he killed, but it's a lot. So, and he's a really interesting dude.
Sounds good.
He's really fucked up. Yeah, I think you'll find this entertaining. So that's the one we're going to be doing on Wednesday night, so hopefully you guys can join us for that. Thanks everybody for dropping by. Have a good day tomorrow, and we'll see you guys again Wednesday night. Good night.